Imagine a wardrobe dripping in Dior and Cartier, custom made for a child, while half her nation starves. From 17 private palaces connected by secret tunnels to a $7 million superyacht with high-speed water slides, this is the reality for Kim Jong Un. Under the iron-clad protection of her father, Kim Jong Un, she lives a life the world was never meant to see. Today we're going behind the gates to see what the trillionaire life of Kim Jong Un's daughter really looks like, and the high-stakes future she's being groomed for. The Ghost Princess. For the first 10 years of her life, Kim Jong Un didn't exist, at least not to the rest of the world. In the hermit kingdom of North Korea, the private lives of the ruling Kim family are guarded more fiercely than their nuclear silos. Any mention of the leader's children was strictly forbidden. But in September 2013, the world got its first real shock. American basketball star Dennis Rodman returned from a bizarre diplomatic visit to Pyongyang. When he got back, he led a detail that sent global intelligence agencies into a frenzy slip. The basketball player claimed he had spent a relaxing day by the sea with the Kim family. He even affirmed that he held their infant daughter, whom he named Jong Un. It was a slip of the tongue that confirmed the existence of a new heir to the trillion-dollar Kim dynasty. For years after that, she remained a ghost, hidden away in a world of gold-plated faucets and imported delicacies, while the country's propaganda machine waited. But why would Kim Jong Un keep his beloved child hidden for so long, only to parade her in front of the world's most dangerous weapons? The reason became clear on a cold November morning. On November 18th, 2022, the world watched in stunned silence as a massive Hwasong-17 intercontinental ballistic missile stood on its launch pad. The missile was ready to demonstrate its power to reach the United States. But it wasn't the missile that grabbed the headlines. It was the young girl in a white puffer jacket walking hand in hand with the supreme leader. This was Kim Jong Un's official debut, and it was a calculated pattern interrupt designed to shock the international community. By introducing his daughter at a nuclear test site, Kim Jong Un was sending a clear message. This message was that the regime's nuclear future is now tied to the next generation of his bloodline. Since that day, she has gone from a mysterious child to a constant fixture at her father's side. Jong Un has appeared at over 18 major state events in 2023 alone. But as she moved from the missile sites to the gala dinners, people started noticing something about her appearance. It seemed to contradict everything the regime stands for. How does a child in one of the poorest countries in the world wear the most expensive luxury brands? The trillionaire lifestyle, Dior, palaces, yachts, and horses. As Jong Un's public profile grew, so did the price tag of her wardrobe. In March 2023, during another missile inspection, eagle-eyed observers spotted a logo tucked away on her black coat that seemed impossible to ignore. It was a Christian Dior kid's hooded down jacket, retailing for approximately $2,800. In a country where the average worker earns less than $5 a day, that single jacket represents more than a year's wages for hundreds of people. This wasn't just a fashion choice, it was a display of untouchable status. Reports suggest that the Kim family uses a shadowy network known as Office 39 to bypass international sanctions and fly in luxury goods from Europe via private cargo planes. From high-end silks to custom-tailored suits, Jong Un is being styled to look like a noble child, a stark contrast to the torn clothing worn by the citizens who are forced to cheer for her. But while her clothes are impressive, they are nothing compared to the secret network of palaces where she spends her private life. So, what kind of world does a trillionaire teenager live in when the cameras stop rolling? When the public appearances end, Jong Un retreats to a world that even the most elite North Koreans can only imagine. Her primary playground is the Wonsan Seaside Estate. This is a massive fortified compound that is completely blurred out on global satellite maps. This isn't just a vacation home. Rather, it's a trillion-dollar fortress equipped with private cinemas, Olympic-sized swimming pools, and even its own private theme park. It's here that she spends her summers on a 95-foot luxury yacht, estimated to be worth over $7 million. Reports suggest this estate has a high-speed rail link that connects directly to the capital, allowing the Morning Star to move across the country in total secrecy and comfort. The same country where an estimated 42% of the population is undernourished, and the average citizen will never travel freely between cities. Yet here, a teenage girl has a private rail line and a theme park to herself. But it's not just the palaces, yachts, and private rail lines that define her life. It's her personal hobbies that reveal the true extent of her grooming. Some say she is an expert at a sport that is traditionally reserved for the most powerful leaders in history. But what kind of animal does a princess ride when she is being trained to lead an army? Ju A was already being introduced to a far more expensive and symbolic tradition. It's called the Cult of the White Horse. In North Korea, the Paektu bloodline is mythologically tied to the image of a leader on a white stallion, and Ju A's stables are a testament to this obsession. Customs data reveals that between 2010 and 2020, the Kim family spent over $584,000 importing nearly 140 Orlov trotters from Russia. In February 2023, during a military parade, state television showcased a specific white horse described as the one most loved by the leader's beloved child. This isn't just a hobby. It's a direct link to the nation's founder, designed to show that Ju A is the true heir to the revolution. She reportedly spends her afternoons at the Kangdong Equestrian Center, a world-class facility built exclusively for the inner circle, where she is trained by the country's top riders. But as the horses grew faster, so did the regime's efforts to erase anyone who might share her name. Why would a government force thousands of citizens to change their own identities just to protect a 13-year-old's brand? How? The regime is building and protecting her image. By mid-2023, the idolization of Kim Jong Un reached a level of intensity that shocked even longtime North Korea observers. Reports began to surface that local authorities were summoning women and girls named Ju A to government offices. They were ordered to change their names on their birth certificates and residential cards. This name taboo is a privilege strictly reserved for the supreme leaders. It ensures that when the name is spoken, it can only refer to the morning star of the dynasty. This was the moment analysts realized she wasn't just a favorite child. She was being officially sanctified. To support this godlike image, the state even released a series of postage stamps with her image alongside her father at missile sites, a move that placed her in the history books before she even reached high school. These stamps were not just collector's items, they were a declaration. A 13-year-old girl was being written into the official mythology of a nuclear state, and her face forever tied to the weapons that the regime uses to threaten the world. But as her name became sacred, her duties became increasingly dangerous. In September 2025, Ju A stepped off an armored train in Beijing to attend the military parade celebrating the 80th anniversary of China's victory in World War II. This wasn't just a sightseeing trip, it was a high-stakes diplomatic mission where she stood alongside her father and top Chinese officials. She was being introduced to the world's only superpower as the future of the Kim dynasty. Analysts noted that her poise and her custom-tailored silk ensembles were designed to rival the world's most powerful first families. This trip proved that her training wasn't just about driving tanks, but navigating the complex world of global geopolitics. Then, while she was making waves in Beijing, her return to Pyongyang marked a bizarre shift in her public image. In April 2026, the regime launched a new humanization campaign that showed a softer side of the Trillionaire princess. During an inspection of the newly built Hwasong housing district in Pyongyang, state media released a series of photos that looked more like a lifestyle blog than a government report. Ju A was seen visiting a new, high-end pet shop where she was delighted to pet puppies and kittens. All this happened while her father sat just behind her, smiling. They also toured a luxury musical instrument store, going through pianos and saxophones. This duo even went to a modern hair salon designed for the city's elite. This is a masterclass in socialist civilization propaganda. By showing Ju A in these leisure settings, the regime is trying to market a dream of luxury to the North Korean people. They're suggesting that her life of absolute abundance is something they too can achieve if they remain loyal. But beneath the cute animals and the shiny guitars, How is she being prepared to take over a nation that is still technically at war? The making of a supreme leader. Ju Aa has been through a series of preparations to take over from her father if the mantle of the dynasty falls on her shoulders. Although the public sees her at pet shops and parades, the most important part of Ju A's training is happening in a place where cameras are never allowed. Unlike her father, who was sent to a prestigious international school in Switzerland under a false name, Ju A is being educated within the borders of North Korea. This is done by a hand-picked team of elite tutors. Intelligence reports from the South Korean National Intelligence Service show that her curriculum focuses heavily on military strategy, international relations, and the revolutionary history of her grandfather. This homegrown education is a deliberate move to prevent any Western contamination, and to ensure she remains a pure product of the regime's ideology. By April 2026, the spy agency officially assessed that she had finished her training and is now in the stage of being internally appointed successor. She is no longer just a student. Rather, she is a shadow leader, watching, learning, and preparing for the moment the crown is officially passed. One of such moments happened in March 2026 at the Pyongyang No. 60 training base. In a series of high-definition photos released by state media, the world watched as Kim Jong Un and his daughter climbed the country's newest Chonma-20 battle tank. This wasn't a simple photo op. Ju A was seen peering through the gunner's sights and navigating the armored vehicle through live fire drills. Dressed in her father's signature black leather jacket, she looked less like a student and more like a seasoned commander. Ju A isn't just watching the military, but expressing opinions on policy and receiving salutes from generals twice her age. What makes this even more striking is that Kim Jong Un knows exactly what this moment feels like. He was 17 years old when his own father, Kim Jong Il, began grooming him as successor. He watched from the shadows, attended military briefings he wasn't supposed to be at, sat in meetings with generals who pretended not to notice him. Then, in 2010, at roughly the same age Ju A is now, he was officially unveiled to the North Korean public for the first time. 2 years later, his father was dead, and he was the supreme leader of a nuclear state. He has lived this story before. The difference is that this time, he is the one writing it. Surprisingly, as Ju A's star rises inside the palace, not everyone is celebrating her ascent. Because for every person the regime elevates, there is always someone being pushed out of the frame. And the first casualty of Ju A's rise happens to be the woman who gave birth to her. The fall of the First Lady. For a decade, Ri Sol-ju was the most visible woman in North Korea. She was poised, elegant, and carefully presented as the modern face of the regime. She attended state banquets, military parades, and diplomatic events dressed in high-end silks and luxury handbags that cost more than most North Koreans earn in a lifetime. She was untouchable. Then her daughter stepped into the spotlight, and everything changed. Since Ju A's debut in 2022, the First Lady has been sidelined. She has been noticeably absent from major state events or relegated to the far edges of official photographs. It's almost as if the regime's photographers are slowly erasing her from the frame. At events where she does appear, the camera angles tell the full story. The state media now use low-angle shots to make Ju A appear larger and more authoritative than the adults around her, including her own mother. In the hierarchy of the frame, the daughter has already overtaken the First Lady. But the displacement doesn't stop there. Even the once terrifying Kim Yo-jong is affected. Kim Yo-jong is the supreme leader's powerful sister and one of the most feared political operatives in Asia. She has been spotted standing several steps behind her niece during ceremonies, yielding the center of the frame to a 13-year-old girl. For anyone who understands North Korean power dynamics, these images are staggering. Kim Yo-jong has issued statements that brought the Korean peninsula to the brink of war. She has overseen propaganda campaigns that have shaken governments. And yet, here she is, stepping aside for a child. But don't let those images fool you. Behind the flowers in the ceremony, this woman who has spent years as the regime's most dangerous enforcer may not be stepping aside at all. She may simply be waiting. However, an unsettling question begins to emerge. What happens if her brother's heart stops unexpectedly? Kim Jong Un's failing health. The world is increasingly focused on the present health of the supreme leader. In April 2026, South Korean intelligence reports have noted that Kim Jong Un's weight has ballooned back to roughly 300 pounds. At 42 years old, Kim Jong Un is reportedly suffering from high blood pressure, diabetes, and a family history of cardiovascular disease that claimed the lives of both his father and grandfather. And this is where it gets uncomfortable. Observers have noted that in recent footage, he appears out of breath during simple walks, and his skin looks heavily flushed. These are signs that the trillionaire diet of imported cheeses, fine wines, and heavy smoking is taking its toll. This sudden urgency to bring Ju Ai into the spotlight suggests that the regime may be preparing for a sudden transition sooner than anyone expected. But as her father's health declines, the palace walls are beginning to close in, and the most dangerous threat to Ju Ai's crown may already be inside the building. The battle for the throne. The succession battle, if it comes, will not be fought on a battlefield. It will be fought in corridors and in the carefully managed images that the regime releases to the world. And at the center of it all is the tension between a 13-year-old girl and an aunt with decades of ruthless experience. There is intense speculation that a brutal succession battle could erupt behind palace walls, with Kim Yo-jong's years of experience and military connections stacked against the sacred bloodline of the 13-year-old Ju Ai. Would the powerful auntie step aside for a child? Or is she simply waiting for the supreme leader's pulse to stop before claiming the throne for herself? This tension is further complicated by a person the world has almost entirely forgotten. For years, there have been rumors that Ju Ai isn't actually the firstborn. International intelligence agencies believe there is an older brother, born around 2010, who has been kept in total isolation. If he exists, why is he being hidden while his younger sister is paraded in front of nuclear missiles? Some suggest he may have health issues, or perhaps he lacks the charismatic spark the regime requires for a leader. Others believe he is being educated in even deeper secrecy to serve as the military heir, while Ju Ai serves as the public face. Then there is Kim Jong-chol, the leader's older brother. He was passed over for power because he was considered too effeminate and more interested in playing guitar than leading an army. With the men of the family either hidden, passed over, or failing in health, the regime is forced to answer a question that goes against centuries of tradition. Can a woman lead North Korea? Is it possible to have the first female supreme leader? North Korea is a deeply patriarchal society where the Grand Marshal has always been a man. However, the Pik-tu bloodline is the ultimate law. Experts argue that gender may be secondary to the sacred blood that flows through Ju Ai's veins. By giving her the title of General Morning Star and showing her commanding tanks, the regime is degendering her. Who knows, she could be just as ruthless and powerful as any man. If she succeeds, she will become the first woman to hold absolute power over a nuclear-armed state, and the first female supreme leader in the history of the Korean dynasty. A refined but deadly face for a regime that needs to modernize to survive. As of April 2026, the stage is set. The trillionaire lifestyle, military grooming, and divine titles have all been put in place. Whether she becomes the savior of her dynasty or the catalyst for its final collapse is a story that is currently being written in the palaces of Pyongyang. The world is watching, but for Kim Ju Ai, the Game of Thrones has only just begun. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.